Nine News has obtained disturbing vision of rats crawling through the kitchen of a popular city pub.
The meal looked perfect. The room looked clean. The truth was uglier. Across Australia, diners are getting sick, getting ripped off, and trusting places that fail the basics. Dirty kitchens, bad hygiene, unsafe food handling, chains that put profit first and people second. This is not one bad review. It is a pattern. For too long, people have trusted the logo, the location, and the crowd. That trust is costing them. And the worst part is that many of these problems stay hidden until the damage is already done. Stay to the end, because I will show you the places worth your money, the places worth trusting, and the red flags that should make you walk out before you order. Number 1. Goodies Burger House, Melbourne. Most people assume that a burger joint, especially one with a simple name and a franchise model, offers a reliable, quick, satisfying, and safe meal. That is not always the case. Goodies Burger House in Melbourne has earned a terrible reputation online, with very low ratings and a long list of complaints. This is not merely a matter of taste. It suggests deeper problems with quality and consistency. The complaints include burgers that taste strangely steamed, food that disappoints, and an overall experience that falls far below what customers expect from a burger specialist. This is a reminder that a familiar brand or a late-night option does not guarantee a good meal. The promise is simple comfort food. The reality can leave you questioning your choice. Number 2. The Quarter, De Grave Street, Melbourne. Most people assume that a restaurant on an iconic Melbourne laneway like De Grave Street is automatically a great food destination. That is not true. The Quarter is a classic example of a tourist trap, capitalizing on location rather than delivering genuine quality. Many customers report overpriced food, weak service, and a meal that does not justify the bill. This is more than a minor annoyance because it preys on visitors who expect a memorable Australian dining experience and instead get disappointment. A prime location is not the same thing as good value. The promise is a vibrant, authentic Melbourne meal. The reality is often overpriced and underwhelming. Number 3. China Bar, Cannington, Western Australia. Most people assume that a long-standing and popular restaurant follows basic hygiene and food safety standards. That is not a safe assumption. China Bar in Cannington, Western Australia, was officially penalised for serious food safety breaches. This is not an isolated complaint from one unhappy customer. It is a formal enforcement action that points to a failure to meet basic public health requirements. When a restaurant is penalized for food safety issues, that should make any diner pause. The promise of authentic, flavorful Chinese food sounds appealing. The reality raises serious questions about how the kitchen is being run. Number 4. Little Bangkok, Cannington, Western Australia. Most people assume that a Thai restaurant, with its emphasis on fresh ingredients and careful preparation, would naturally prioritize cleanliness and hygiene. That is not guaranteed. Little Bangkok in Cannington, Western Australia, was also penalized for food safety breaches. This is not just about a messy kitchen, it is about handling food safely and protecting customer health. When more than one restaurant in the same area faces these problems, it raises wider concerns about oversight and compliance. The promise is fresh Thai flavors and a satisfying meal. The reality can be a serious health risk if standards are ignored. Number 5. Pindi Restaurant, Belmont, Western Australia. Most people assume that any restaurant would at least meet the minimum health and safety requirements. That is not always true. Pindi Restaurant in Belmont was penalised for food safety breaches. Even if the public does not know every detail of the violation, the fact of a penalty tells you something important. It means the business failed to meet its obligations to the public. When this happens in different venues across the same state, it suggests a wider compliance problem rather than a one-off mistake. The promise is an ordinary meal with no drama. The reality is a failure to meet basic standards. Number 6. Albany French hot bread. Albany, Western Australia. Even places that feel harmless, like bakeries, are not immune to food safety problems. Most people assume that a local bakery is a safe and trustworthy part of the community. That is not always the case. Albany French hot bread in Albany, Western Australia, was penalised for food safety breaches. This matters because bakeries handle food that many people eat daily, often with little hesitation. The issue is not only about restaurants serving full meals, it is about every place that prepares food for the public. The promise is fresh bread and comforting baked goods. The reality is a reminder that vigilance matters everywhere. Number 7. Mad Mex, Blacktown, New South Wales. Fast casual chains are often seen as a safer and more standardized option. That assumption can be dangerous. Mad Mex in Blacktown, New South Wales, received a penalty notice for food safety breaches. A penalty notice may not sound as severe as a conviction, but it still shows that a business did not meet regulatory expectations. It means the authorities found a problem serious enough to issue an official warning. The promise is fresh, customizable Mexican food and a quick, reliable meal. The reality is that even big chains can fail the basics. Number 8. Silver Territory Seafood Restaurant, Burwood, New South Wales. Seafood restaurants demand especially high standards because seafood must be handled correctly to stay safe. Most people assume a seafood restaurant would be extremely careful about hygiene. That is not always the case. Silver Territory Seafood Restaurant in Burwood, New South Wales, received multiple penalty notices. Multiple notices suggest repeated non-compliance, which is more concerning than a single slip-up. That pattern matters because it shows that warnings may not have been enough to fix the problem. The promise is fresh seafood and a delicate dining experience. The reality can be a restaurant that is not keeping up with essential safety standards. Number 9. The Camaret Chinese Restaurant, Camaret, New South Wales. Most people assume that a long-standing local Chinese restaurant has earned trust through consistent quality and cleanliness. That is not always true. The Camaret Chinese Restaurant in Camaret, New South Wales, received a penalty notice. This shows that even established neighbourhood favourites can fall short of the rules. The problem is not always malicious. Sometimes it is complacency, outdated habits, or poor training. The promise is a reliable local meal. The reality can be a business that has slipped below the standard customers should expect. Number 10. Hungry Jack's, North Sydney, Kempsey and Pheasant's Nest, New South Wales. Even huge fast food chains are not immune to food safety failures. Most people assume a big corporate brand means strict hygiene and consistency. That is not a guarantee. Multiple Hungry Jack's locations across New South Wales have received penalties or have been tied to documented health violations. When several locations in one chain face these kinds of issues, it raises questions about oversight and local management. The promise is a quick, consistent meal from a trusted chain. The reality can be a risk that customers do not see until it is too late. Wage theft scandals. Most people assume that high-end restaurants, famous chefs, and polished hospitality brands operate with proper ethics and respect for staff. That is not always true. The Australian restaurant industry has also faced serious wage theft scandals, with staff across fine dining and casual hospitality sometimes reporting unpaid overtime, underpayment, and exploitation. This is not just a few bad actors. It is a deeper issue that hurts workers, especially young people, visa holders, and others who are easy to exploit. The true cost of an expensive restaurant meal can include stolen labor and unpaid hours behind the scenes. The promise is glamour and professional hospitality. The reality can be exploitation hidden behind the service. Systemic hygiene failures. Most people assume that health rules and inspections guarantee a baseline of cleanliness across Australian restaurants. That is not always the case. Reports from workers and customers suggest that hygiene problems can be widespread, including poor cleaning, weak hand-washing practices, and unsafe temperature control for food. Former hospitality workers have described kitchens with infestations, dirty storage areas, and staff being told to hide food safety problems. These are not just isolated stories. They are warning signs that the industry can fail when oversight is weak and pressure is high. The promise is a clean, safe place to eat. The reality can be far more disturbing. The truth about Australia's restaurant scene is unsettling, but it is not a sentence of despair. The power to demand change does not sit only with the industry or the regulators. It also sits with you, the consumer. Now let us shift focus and talk about where smart money should go. The establishments that prioritize culinary excellence, hygiene, and ethical practice. Instead of passively accepting the status quo, look for local independent eateries with strong community roots and transparent practices. Prioritize businesses that clearly display health inspection information and have consistent positive reviews that mention not only the food, but also the service and cleanliness. As one experienced Australian food critic has said, the most memorable meals are often found in humble family-run cafes and bistros, where passion for food and respect for customers and staff come first. Support businesses that treat staff fairly and source ingredients responsibly. Choose transparency over trendiness and genuine substance over superficial image. Your choices can help reshape the industry. Do not buy the headline, buy the evidence. The power to change this does not sit with the industry. It sits with you. Your dollar is your vote. Cast it wisely.